Thank you for staying with us. Ah, yeah. Okay, so Third Mainland Bridge at 11.8 kilometers long is the longest of three road bridges crossing Lagos Lagoon.
In fact, at one time, it was the longest bridge in Africa.
Yeah.
At one time.
Yeah.
When it first opened, the Third Mainland Bridge relieved much of the heavy traffic and congestion that had been typical of Lagos in the 80s. Traffic moved faster and road communications around the city improved. Now, the federal government has announced another 6-month partial closure of the bridge for maintenance work expected to start on July the 24th. That won't be the first time that has happened. I mean, this will be like the third time or thereabout that the bridge has received attention, so to speak. And then some others are asking, what's wrong with getting another bridge so that, I mean, we can reduce the pressure on this one? Or what's wrong with stopping a lot of people from going in that direction?
Well, there's talk about the fourth bridge.
Yeah.
It's still talk at the
Is
top
there
level.
also talk about moving some offices from there to mainland so that many of the people will stop moving that way?
But you know how we are in Nigeria. You must have a VI address to make you feel important.
Wow.
You must have an Ikoyi address. You must have a Lekki address.
Okay.
Come on, you know the way it is.
And I don't know
Victoria Land.
Okay.
That's how it is
Well,
now.
you must have heard the voice of the Federal Controller Works in Lagos, Engineer Olukayode Popola. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Also here is a professor of transportation and the dean of the Institute of Transport at the Lagos State University, Professor Samuel Odewumi. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure always.
Professor of Transportology.
That's a new word. There will be a faculty for that.
And the very first professor of it.
You will get a copyright, a patent.
Well done. Let me start with you, Engineer Popola. What exactly is the plan? Third Mainland Bridge is going to be shut down, partially, as the case may be, from the 24th of July. Tell us why.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Please, sorry, make it in simple terms so that anybody can understand.
Okay. Thank you very much for inviting us to this place. Third Mainland Bridge, we want to do some maintenance work. Normally, there are three types of maintenance. We have the routine maintenance, we have periodic maintenance, we have a special maintenance. Routine maintenance, it can just be probably after the inspection, you discover that this one you need to do it, you change it, or the concrete has fallen off, you quickly address it. But the periodic one, we carry out some tests, we investigate, and you discover that you have some of the components of the bridge that you have to change. Then you have to plan for it, and you now effect the change. We do it nationwide. On all our bridges nationwide, we do carry out the inspection, after which we come up with the program to do the periodic maintenance. Now, that one was done for Third Mainland Bridge in 2018. That was when we closed it down for 3 days to carry out the investigation. After we got the result, the contractor placed order for the bad components that we are going to replace. The bearings, some of them are bad. The expansion joints, some of them are bad. So we are not manufactured in this country, and they are not something you go to the shelf and pick. Because of the specification of each of them, you have to order for it. Now the contractor order for it. It has come to the country. We want to carry out the periodic maintenance, and that's what makes us to say we want to do the partial closure starting from 24th of July this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Prof. Third Mainland Bridge is a very major component of the transportation system in Lagos, especially linking the mainland and the island.
It's a major artery.
Very major one. So if this, in 2018, the impact of the 3-day closure. Now, before 2018, sorry, it happened 2008.
2008.
First did 2008, then 2012,
yeah.
then
2018.
then they want to do 2020.
Okay. So, Prof, I use 2018 because in those 3 days, the impact of that closure was felt around Lagos.
But Satan descended from the pit of hell.
This one Satan will not come.
Amen. But, Prof, this was 6 months. What are you seeing?
Well, I'm happy he's here because he has done part of what I said I will lay as my foundation. Because I read social media, my students ask me, people say, why now? Why do you have to close? Because we are going to go through pain. My first basic layout, foundation for everybody is that we just have to do it.
Yeah.
If we don't do it, that's a foolish man's philosophy that until the thing goes down, then if it is 1 pound of suffering that we are going to have, it's going to become 20 pounds weight by the time we allow it to go down. Because if it goes down, that 6 months becomes more than 6 years. So we just have to. It cannot wait. It's a foolish man's philosophy that until this thing becomes unusable. So they have to take it like that. Because he may be diplomatic, he's a civil servant, I'm a teacher in the class, so I'm a little bit giving more. So the second point I want to mention, you see, people normally say, Nigeria, we want to say, that thing is not rocket science, that problem. Let me tell you, traffic management in Lagos is more than a rocket science. It's worse. Because when you are dealing with rocket science, the air philosophy you can calculate, velocity you can calculate. You can calculate the wind speed. You can calculate the adiabatic lapse rates, how temperature reduces. You can calculate humidity exactly. But when it comes to Lagos and its traffic and the people, honestly, I don't know who said they have a magic to handle our attitude when it comes to, because we are religious, but you see the worst, you don't see a Christian on Lagos Road. No. You don't see a Muslim. You don't see any, you hardly see any gentleman on Lagos Road. So that is what makes Lagos traffic management the worse than rocket science. I do not envy the Commissioner for Transport and all the stakeholders. There are two, I will get to it, there are two major solutions that we could throw at it, at the attitude, enlightenment and enforcement. But I will tell you, those two shields, they have major cracks that does not make it effective. Enforcement, you know who we are going to use to enforce. That's the police and all that. They have their own comma. Then about enlightenment, Lagos has a peculiar problem. You see, you enforce 100 people today. 20 of them move out to outside the Lagos. Another 20 new ones. They don't even know what Lagos is saying. Mm-hmm. When we are discussing solutions, because we have to provide solutions to all that. Then the last one is that the regular maintenance, we must get used to it, as he has said. There are several components of the bridge. You have the pillars. Thank God, nothing do that one. That is still standing camp in Nigerian parlance. Then you have the beam on it. That one is fairly okay. There's no problem with that. Then you have the one that requires regular. The joints, they are like human joints. Roads develop arthritis. So what you are having is they now want to fix the arthritis of the third mainland. The joints, they wear out. When you drive over this, you'll be hearing boom, boom. Yeah. That is the joint, and they are kept there for a purpose because it expands during the hot weather and it shrinks. So in order to give it a breathing space, they have to create that space for it to expand and contract. Now, but they have to block it with something that is not hard. So you have the pad there. So they have to change that pad regularly. Initially, it was officially designed to be 2 years review to re-examine. But when we say, well, this is fairly okay, moreover, the cost of shutting down is heavy. We went to 4 years span. So the 2008, 2012, 2018 is actually the test to examine, I mean, what had gone wrong. My student asked me and said, look, then why didn't they do it from March? When COVID started, when all of us were inside the house, we wouldn't. Actually, I reached out to some of my friends. Yeah.
I'll just have to interrupt you here, please. We'll just take a moment and we'll come back to ask the question, why wasn't this done when nobody was moving? We're back in a moment. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We're looking at the closure and preparations for the maintenance, periodic maintenance of the third mainland bridge. So, Prof, you were talking about where we are at this point in time.
Yeah. And I was explaining the last point about the scheduled maintenance that we, and why people want to see, okay, the issue of where we are maintaining, that's where we are. The tar on the road, the joints. I've explained the joints, the need to retouch the joint regularly to cure it of arthritis. Then two, the tar, that is the asphalt, is something that wears off. All these cars broke down, there is fire incidents, they scratch the road. You are removing the protective layer of the concrete beam. So occasionally you must stop and say, please, let's palliate these ones. Okay. So those are regular, whether there is a major problem or not, in order for us to be able to use it for a long time. Now, that is my basic foundation for this particular discussion. One, we have to do it.
Sorry,
Two,
Professor.
it's a rocket science.
Just before we went on that break, you said your student asked you why the maintenance was not done while we were on COVID break.
The other later discussion, now, I got across to my friends, those who are in government, because now we should have one or two. I reached out to them, especially Lagos people. He said they will reach out to the federal. You know that lockdown was done by federal. They made major lockdown. So I sent a text that, look, let contractors move to the roads now. Because this is the time that people come. Many contracting job was in full swing. If you remember, that's the dry season. That's the best time for road work. And they agreed. According to them, they reached out to Abuja. Abuja did not give Lagos immediate go ahead. It's not that because they are wicked. Their own argument is also that, look, if we allow the contractors to come to road, the workers will need to move, by transport, then they need to feed, then there are other ancillary services that are, because I told them that the workers on the road are not so many. That is road construction workers, and they can social distance. And as at that time, maybe we have about 150 cases in Lagos. So I believe then it is in the sun, in the open air. I do not envisage any problem. But Abuja was afraid that if you open it, first of all, we are always very envious and jealous. The fact that you open market, church is saying now, you open market, church is closed. You open to this thing, that one is. So immediately you open for, they will say, the China people, they have taken over Nigeria. That's the Xi Jinping put pressure on Buhari. That's why Buhari said the contract, because most of our major contractors are Chinese people. So they said, look, Professor, we have to wait. And it was very, very painful. Although later, they permitted Lagos to return to all those junctions they were reorganized. So that is my foundation. Later, we now discuss.
In addition to what a prof said, you know, when this COVID-19, when we heard of it, nobody understood it. Nobody knew the nature. Immediately, there was a restriction of movement. Most of these contractors, they are not citizens of this country. They went back to their country as well. Now the airports were all closed worldwide. There was no way for them to come back. Then locally, the worker, they had traveled outside Lagos. Interstate boundary restriction, there was no way to move to come back. So we couldn't take full advantage of even the opportunity we had. Nigeria Governors Forum, they now listed some priority road. Of course, most of our road in Lagos are part of the priority road. But where are the personnel? They were not there. Only few of them that probably would not be able to take the administrative decision were around. So that's why we could not benefit from that lockdown.
So
Okay.
this planned closure, what exactly is going to happen?
What? As Prof said.
No, in terms of like movement, people will move. People
yes,
will go to
people-
work. So
people
what's the
will
plan?
move.
What's the plan?
The closure will start by 12 midnight on the 24th.
Which is
So,
Friday.
which is next week,
Friday, midnight.
midnight. Now, if you are coming to Island to come and work, your regular lane is left opened. We are not starting work from that lane. You can still access the island through that lane in the morning.
Okay.
When you close from work, you come back through that same lane, back to Oworonsoki side.
Okay.
We are doing some palliative work on some of the alternative routes. As I'm talking to you, FEMA, they are working. Lagos State Public Works, they are working on some of the road where people can divert, the traffic will be diverted to. So movement, we know is going to have some pains, but we are prepared. We are working together. The Federal Road Safety, they are on ground. LASMA, they are on ground. The only thing is people should just obey the traffic rule.
Okay, the question I want to ask is, well, we had our reporters go around some of these alternative roads and bridges to the island and out of the Victoria Island. And some of the experiences by passengers, they were not palatable at all. I mean, some of the road users will use words like, let them shut it down now, we'll all sit at home. I mean, if Third Mainland is open right now and we are having this amount of traffic and suffering, when they shut it down, what will happen?
Prof said it. We just have to bear it. We have to do it. There is no alternative to it. For us to make sure that that bridge does not collapse, which we don't want, we have to be carrying out that periodic maintenance. It's like the joint, as he said. We are going to do that one. That's the surface work. After the 6 months, the contractor will now go under to continue with the work. We still have some that we want to carry out, but that one will have nothing to do with the traffic movement.
Okay. What is the position of Eco Bridge right now?
Eco Bridge, the contractor is working on it right now. In another 2 months, it will be okay. No, Eco Bridge, we noticed a problem. It wasn't part of what we planned for this year. There was a problem. We went there, we saw it. The governor came and saw it before we were given the permission to close it down. Now, it's a federal government project. It takes time before you procure it. We cannot address it here. They gave us the approval from headquarters, and the contractor is already working there on it. If you go there, you see he has already set all the trusses to make sure that they will bring their lift and lift the deck up. Then
So
Eco
Bridge is working at half capacity.
It's working at half capacity.
Third Mainland Bridge is going to work at half capacity. What about Carter Bridge?
Carter Bridge has no problem.
Capacity.
Carter Bridge has no problem.
No problem, full capacity. The
It's
only
just
one we are
that-
still working on is Marine Bridge. We
Okay.
are working on Marine Bridge right now. The same
Okay.
problem, expansion joint, and then the bearings. That's what we are changing.
The only problem with using Carter Bridge is, of course, when you come off the Carter Bridge, there's a likelihood of you meeting trucks along that Ido corridor before you turn onto Eco Bridge.
I think last month they will do something about those traffic before that day.
Lagos
And,
people are
we-
in for the time of their lives.
Third Mainland Bridge, we are going to work day and night to make sure we finish, if possible, earlier than 6 months.
Okay, now the other side, if Prof said something, we'll come back to Prof again for solutions. He said something about, he used 2 words, enlightenment and enforcement. But I'll stick with enlightenment. How much of enlightenment is going on?
This one you are doing is part of the enlightenment.
This one we're doing.
Other stations as well, they are doing enlightenment.
It's okay.
And radio, they are
this
doing
one we're doing
enlightenment.
now.
People are listening to us, so
Are
it's
there
part of
people-
enlightenment.
Are there people
And,
at the
the
motor
local people,
parks
the
with
local people,
megaphones and all that, telling all these bus drivers exactly
Especially
what
the
is
bus
going
drivers,
to
the
happen?
yellow buses in particular,
Yes,
and some of
yes.
the BRT drivers.
Yes, the one I said was on lighter mode. We have program to do that one to sensitize them. But
You
they
have
are
programs
also-
to do. They haven't been told yet.
They are aware. That's what they are aware already, that we want to close Third Mainland Bridge as for them to have benefit of a third mainland bridge
You know,
in full.
Mr. Kupola, I asked a question because yesterday was a very beautiful day in Lagos, so the mainland. Now, I got to a point where I climbed the pedestrian bridge and I looked back. The road outward Lagos is about 3-4 lanes, right? But I look back and I see about 8 lanes of vehicles
Yes.
pouring into a 3-lane road.
Yes.
When I ask the question of enlightenment, how much, before we get to enforcement, how much of that is going in terms of enlightening the drivers to not even climb onto the shoulders, but stay within the lane, knowing that the more they expand, the more contraction we have at this point of pouring in.
You know, that's what Rob said. No gentleman when it comes to driving in Lagos. They are always impatient. There was an accident yesterday, and everybody wanted to go at the same time. So they now make it to become worse for road safety to be able to control them. And that was what made some people to spend more than 6 hours on a spot yesterday. Now our people should change their attitude. We have the traffic signs, but nobody obeys it. Once there is any breakdown on the road, you see everybody moving anyhow. And then you now create problem more than the problem that is even on ground. So yesterday is the attitude of the driver that caused the problem that we had. And if they will obey the traffic law enforcement agent, I think things will get better. Okay. Because there is no way we can rule out accident on our road. Whether the road is bad, we have people that will say because the roads are bad, that's why they have accident. If the road is good, some people will say because the road is too smooth, they are on speed. So you see accident. So there is no way that we can say there will be 100% accident free.
I'm just
attitude matters.
I'm just imagining, Prof. And the road is too smooth. That's why I had an accident. Prof,
Well,
that's when you are flying, 100.
The roads are good, so they have accidents.
We design our road. We design our road tied to a specific speed. That is 100 kilometers per hour.
The speed
you
limit,
see people running 200 kilometers per hour, 180 kilometers per hour.
There are no speed limits on the roads.
We have the science.
No,
we have the science.
This Lagos Express.
We are working on it.
Okay,
we are working on the road.
Okay.
The contractors are there.
Okay.
That road is international standard.
No, I'm talking about the signs.
The signs will also be part of it. Everything will be there.
What about enforcement? When you put those signs there, would there be enforcement?
That's the work of the road safety. We are working together. They will make sure if you do not obey the traffic rules, your vehicle will be impounded. If you drive without driver's license, the Honorable Minister has said this several times, you don't even have rights to drive that vehicle. So all those things are part of the thing that we will make sure we carry out. Okay. If you drive without driver's license, your vehicle will be impounded.
We expect that with this kind of shutdown, partial shutdown, that law enforcement will be there to direct traffic and make sure that traffic moves as smoothly as it might in spite of the shortcomings that we have. What are your thoughts about law enforcement and how traffic is going to look like when this comes into play next week?
Well, law enforcement is a World Cup. But let me quickly go through the quick takes solution that we want to put out there. You are here, sir. One, I want to suggest that the restriction from 10 should be removed. That is this COVID restriction of people that you should be back home by 10. Because people want to return. If you spread the time more, people will wait for, but if you remove it totally or move it to 12 midnight, that is the first condition. It won't cost us anything. It won't increase. It's just that it will allow more people to flow in time. So I'm requesting for that. Then
what you're saying is that because the curfew is at 10,
yes,
people are going to be rushing back home.
To that is important.
Okay.
They just have to consider, and you are going to be at the high table. Please let them remove it for the period. Secondly, LARU, that is Lagos Recovery Unit. You said vehicles will break down because the condition of those vehicles are not as pristine.
They are not roadworthy.
That is it. So they should be, that is Lagos recovery unit. You should have to. They should be on standby. They have PPP arrangement and they should be mobile. It's not that they will go and stay somewhere expecting a phone call. They should be mobile so that anytime you have a breakdown in the alternate route, they will just take it out.
Immediately.
It is important. If they have to advance payment for those PPP people who have those trucks, to put them in good condition so that immediately there's a problem, they will quickly invite them and their vehicle will not constitute another breakdown on the road. Then water. We really need to do something quickly on water. I had about 4 flights or 4 rides on water yesterday. Or George Jetty. Access is a problem. You could see me flying on Okada to access the jetty. You see suit, tie, everything. Very interesting sight. I had to take it from Ojo to Ikoyi to Elegbeta or so. Now, 3 things, I will make it quick. The access to the jetties, we have to work on it. The jetties themselves, most of them are in rickety. There are good ones, rickety. Then the routes, the wrecks inside the water. The last accident in Lagos State was partly caused by wrecks. The boat ran into the wrecks and tumbled. You see, under that water, there are so many wrecks of ships and all that they need to remove. And it's part of even what we discussed yesterday because I went with the GM of LASWA to Nemasa to discuss some of the overlapping roles of agencies on water. That's for another day. So please let them clear the waterways so that then that accident also was partly because of illegal timing. You should stop movement by 6 p.m. That they went around 8 p.m. So it makes it, those are the problem. I'm going back to enforcement. Then, so I want water to be put in good condition so as to be able to defraud
be an alternative.
The
Because
traffic.
if the waterways are effectively working, the movement, from Oronshoki jetty, they can take a boat.
Yes.
From Ikorodu, they can take a boat instead of entering the road.
Yeah.
So you reduce the number.
The stakeholders meeting that we had on Monday, the Commissioner for Transportation was represented by the Permanent Secretary. The Permanent Secretary for Works and Infrastructure was there. Then the GM last month was there, and then the Director Operation last month. They were all there. Nigerian Police, Navy, then the Sector Commander. We had the meeting.
And that even reminds me, sir.
Sorry, please.
We were arrested on the water yesterday. My boat that I chartered. The Marine Police, they said they should pay 4,000 for something that I wasted so much time. I didn't know they were so big. Then we were arrested by another group.
Or you took one way.
One way in the water.
Task force we arrest you if you take one way.
Don't you have paper? They say, what are they all doing? So please, they should stand down all those charges for those people that will be going by water now. This is not the time for all those. So please,
I
you
will
can
take
make
the
your
message
point
back.
because I will quickly also. If you are
No,
going
let's
to-
let it finish.
So in the stakeholders meeting, we have the security committee, then we have the law enforcement committee. The towing vehicle, we know that we will need it on the 3rd Mainland Bridge. We have made arrangement for the private PPP arrangement we said they have on ground. We are going to use it, and we're in charge, and things will work well. So nobody
We're in
will
charge,
panic.
he
We are in
says.
charge.
Yes.
You're on top of it.
We are on top of it.
Okay, but you said something about the waterways. Is that
Yes,
also being factored?
the Commissioner for Transportation
Okay.
was there with us, and then we discussed it. And he knows that the waterway must be 100% clean up for people to use.
Okay.
But
So-
the governor a few weeks ago commissioned several boats.
Yeah, about 16 of them, but I mean, they've been running. You know, my take is this. Government cannot run out the private operators. I advise they should strengthen them. Yes. 70 to 80% of mobility on water is driven by these private people. Lark Ferry cannot out-compete, or it's not even in the interest of government to think they can out-compete. This is something we have been here several times. It will come, it will go down, it will come, it will go down. I do not see much feature because government is subsidizing it heavily. So we had a conference globally, and one white man did a PhD in Lagos on mobility. He said what he found quite funny is that the private people, that yellow buses, the private boats, they carry around 80 to 90% of the movement. Yet government treats them as if they are outcasts. Whereas all your effort will be to strengthen what they are doing, because you cannot do it efficiently as they are doing it. So help the yellow buses to operate better. And I made the recommendation, go to Nairobi. The buses are locally fabricated. It's like the Waterway that we had in Lagos, but well padded, so that you have large buses, because about 5 yellow buses can go into one Waterway, and you will reduce the number of and those people will find other routes to be taken. So the idea of, Lark Ferry cannot, it's just, government is just catalyzing the waterways. The real driver will be the private sector. People. So not to forget some of the point. Now, there are gridlock points. Oyibo, Ido. Please go, and they are doing marketing. Roads are for transport, not for selling bread, not for selling gala. They should remove them, because now we need the alternatives that are working. Then let me quickly address the issue of enlightenment. Now, I think since you are from interchange in Shagam to Lagos, you should put announcements in 3 languages, telling people what you may say the governor says or the minister says, so that as they are coming in, they will have a feel of what are the new rules of Lagos. We are locking down the place next Friday. You are still thinking of what will we do. By now, enlightenment will have gone for about 2-3 weeks. So please, let's make that road from interchange to Lagos source of billboard information. It must be massive all the time.
Indeed, someone says, sorry, Prof. Yeah. Someone's actually saying that what should happen is, Michael is saying, what should happen is you should have those buses that are bringing people into Lagos have some of these announcements, what is obtainable in Lagos, so that, and the drivers are mandated to play it before they take off.
That is right.
As they are approaching Lagos, before they, as in, you get to a play it.
Traffic radio.
As you are approaching Lagos, you play it, not just the radio, so that the drivers can play it at several intervals, that those sitting in the bus can hear that when you enter Lagos, this is what obtained in Lagos, so that standards are met. But we really have to go. So let me read out this comment so that I respond. Hinter says, road signs are as important as good roads, following international best practices in order to save lives, including sometimes to avoid accidents. Ogumba says, the closure of Third Mainland will bring much hardship on its users because other alternative routes are either closed or under repairs. Then Hinter again says, some Nigerians don't know how to drive, plus bad or absolute decayed roads without essential traffic signs and signals. But gentlemen, we have to go at this time. Engineer Olukayode Popola, Federal Controller, Works, Lagos, and Professor Samuel Odewumi, Professor of Transportation, and Dean, School of Transport, Lagos State University. Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing today.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for giving opportunity to enlighten the public.
Thank you.
Please,
and ourselves too.
Thank you very
much.
much.
Market our products. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, we'll be back in a moment. And this conversation around transportation in Lagos and the Third Mainland Bridge is not over yet, but you take note and learn to drive properly for the others as well. We'll be back shortly. Don't go away.